Hey everybody, it's Eric and Skylar here, and we're doing a video to lead up to our trip to Tanzania because we want to include you guys as much into this process as possible. And so we figured doing some videos, taking some pictures, doing cool stuff like that, even through the trip, would be a fun way to take everybody along for the ride. But with this first video, we kind of want to talk a little bit about how this came about. And what happened was back in June, the Lord put it on my heart that in 2017, Skylar and I were supposed to go on a missions trip together, but I didn't know where. The Lord didn't put that on my heart, just that we were supposed to go. And so after I thought about it and prayed about it for about a month, in July, we were on vacation, and I had an opportunity to ask Skylar this question, and that was simply this: have you ever thought about or prayed about going on a missions trip together with me? And Skylar, your response to that was?
Well, yes, because I love to travel, and so missions trips are actually something I've definitely thought of before because of like traveling and being able to like minister to people.
And that took me by surprise because we never talked about that really before. And my next question after she said that was, have you prayed about where we're supposed to go? Have you thought about where we're supposed to go? And I wasn't expecting her to be so resolute and so certain, but she was, and her response was,
I wanted to go to Tanzania.
That amazed me because even though since then our church, Wildwood Calvary Chapel, has gone on a missions trip to Tanzania, at that point only our senior pastor had gone on a trip, and very few people knew a lot of details about that. So looking back to that, Skylar, you were so positive about going to Tanzania with very little, reason, so to speak, to go off of. Why were you so sure about Tanzania? Where did that come from?
Well, it obviously came from God, but
True.
but
you can't go wrong with that answer.
I don't really like. When you originally asked me that question, I didn't actually have an answer, but like Tanzania just kind of like immediately came to my mind when you asked me that. Like I'd never actually thought about where.
Right.
So Tanzania was like what I said, and then I was like, oh, like that came from God. Yeah.
And that's really cool because since then there's so much more to share. We can't do it all in one video. That's what the future videos will be, and that's a story for another one. But since then, the Lord has absolutely confirmed that it is Tanzania. And so you're right, looking back on that moment, it was God that gave her that answer because there was no logical basis for us to know that so definitively. And yet it's been proven since then. So we do want you guys to be a part of this with us, and there's different ways that you can do that. The most obvious one is prayer, and we need that. We need lots of prayer. We want to pray for effectiveness on the trip. We want to pray for financial support because this is a costly trip, especially with two of us going. It's going to be nearly $7,000 for the two of us to go, and we need prayer there. We want prayer for preparations, that God would prepare our hearts and our minds, and even thinking through like what does He want to accomplish in and through us. Because this is going to be an epic trip. I know that for a fact. For example, Skylar, have you thought about what the Lord is, like why He would put that on your heart to go to Tanzania and what might be taking place when we go there?
I think just to like minister to children out there, because like here in like California we don't really understand, like we hear all the time like how like lucky we are and how like how we live, and and then just to like actually be able to like see that and be able to pray over for people and just like have that change of heart and be more thankful for what we have here.
Yeah, for sure. I know that I'm 41 years old, Skylar is 13 years old, and even though we're obviously in two completely different seasons of life, I know that God is going to completely change our lives as a result of what He wants to do on this trip. I don't fully know what He's got in store, but I see all the doors that He's opening. I see all the answers to prayer that have already been taking place, and we're still some ways out. I really do believe this is just the beginning, that God is going to do some pretty spectacular stuff in us and through us, and as a result of that, neither of us will be the same after this. And then, of course, to experience that together as father and daughter, that's priceless right there. I mean, I know we'll be talking about this for decades to come.